We are in a shift because we know that the market will change like it was before, so we know it will eventually go up. The question is, do you take advantage of it now so that when it goes up, you're able to have that big windfall? So who's ready to get the big windfall? Show of hands. Exactly. Now, let me ask you one more question. This is where I want you to kind of participate a little bit. So does everybody have a piece of paper or a notepad or something like that? All right, if you do, I want you to take the notepad, I want you to turn it horizontally and draw a line down the middle. On one side of the line, I want you to put sellers, and on the other side of the line, I want you to put buyers. So we're gonna take a couple of answers. What would motivate people to sell right now?
Interest rates.
Interest rates. What else?
If there were buyers for their home.
Pardon? Say it again, Guy.
Oh, if there were buyers for their home?
Yep, look for a buyer for their home. One more. Why would people be interested in selling right now?
They have somewhere to move.
They have to have somewhere to move. Antoinette, thank you for that. Yep, have to have somewhere to move. Now, you can see we've only given 3 answers. You can probably do another 10 answers as to why people would want to sell right now. Let's flip over to the buyer side. Why would people be motivated to buy right now?
Job change.
Job change, yep.
Interest rates.
Interest rates again, yep. One more.
Expecting value in a downtime.
Expecting value in a downtime. Love that, Sandy. Great answers, everybody. Now, as you're looking at those, same thing. You can have another 5 to 10 answers as to why people want to buy right now. And I know people are going, well, why did we write this down? We already know these answers. Correct. So I'm going to flip that same question back to you. Why do you think we wrote those down?
Reinforce.
Exactly, Bridget. Reinforce. Because we're talking about mindset. What's happening now in our market. And to reinforce is very important because with the stuff we're hearing outside, we're hearing a lot of negative talk. And this way you're able to look at this and say, well, wait a minute. There are still people buying. There are still people selling. And here I know exactly what I'm looking for because I wrote all the reasons why people are buying and selling right now. The other thing this does is this gives us our first line of defense in handling objection. Here's how it does that. You're talking to somebody and they say, well, I was thinking about listing my property except I want to wait. You know, there's a key question we can ask them. So what is your biggest concern with why you'd want to wait? And when they say whatever they say, it's pretty much going to be the only reason people generally wait is because they don't think they can sell or buy now to get a decent price or a decent rate. Does that make sense? Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Thank you. So now what you're able to do is you can ask them this question. So if you didn't want to sell right now, if I could show you where we had a whole bunch of highly motivated buyers, would you potentially consider listing your home now? And before you answer, let me set the stage for you. You're just like everybody else. So there's a lot of people now who aren't going to list. So these highly motivated buyers are going to have a very small sample size potentially of properties to buy. Would you like to be one of the small size or would you like to wait till everybody comes on the market? And what do you think they're going to say?
Where do I sign?
Yeah, where do I sign? Yeah, I'd consider that. And then at that point, you have this whole laundry list of people that are motivated to buy right now. Well, look, I know you're thinking that there's not a lot of buyers. Look, there's people that got to move jobs. There's people, you know, they're getting divorced. There's people that have to move into new houses. There's people, You have all of this laundry list. So they're able to go, wow, there's that many people out there buying right now? Yes. So then like Michael said, so do you want to take advantage of these buyers now or do you want to wait till the market is flooded? Your first line of defense to handling objections. And the great thing about it is that objection works on both sides. And the last thing, because we're hearing all this noise, sometimes, and some of you more experienced agents, you can nod your head if you've ever done this, you get that client and it's kind of a little bit iffy. And you get really locked into that client. You're saying, well, I got to get this one. I got to get this client. I got to get this client. And yet there's all these other people who are out looking to buy or sell, and they're highly motivated. It reminds us, kind of like Bridget said, to go find some other buyers and sellers and not be focused on that one that's giving us problems. That's why we wrote down the list. Now, since we know these people exist, how do we find these people? Anybody, how do we find these people?
Prospecting. Going through your database.
Sandy, exactly. If we go through our database, we will find these people. Now, here's what's so great about this particular time in history. Right now, whether or not you believe this or not, this is the fact that we're seeing throughout the entire country. Right now is the easiest time you've ever had, probably in the history of real estate, most likely in most of our lifetime, the easiest time you've ever had to contact your database. First of all, where is your database right now? Where are they?
Most of them are working out of their homes right now.
Exactly. Most of them are home, so you know where they are. You don't have to find them. You know exactly where they are. And because they're working out of their homes and they're dealing with their kids, and we love our kids. I love my kids. We love our kids. There's a lot of people now that are craving adult interaction. Can we agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And guess when you call them, what are they going to get? Adult interaction. So you're going to have people who are going to be at home and going to want to talk to you. And the third reason why this is the easiest time ever to call our database, because the other question, and we get this question in bold quite a lot, Jaime can attest this, well, what do I say when I call the people? The script now is the easiest script you've ever had. It's 3 words. It begins with how and ends with you. What do you think the 3 words are that are your script now?
How are you?
How are you? Easiest script ever. They're home, they want adult interaction, and we already say the script every single day. So what we're doing now is we're focused on getting mind share now to gain market share later. And we're talking about dealing with care, compassion, and then common sense. If you have your shift book, or if you don't, on page 86, Gary Keller talks about this, about connecting with our database. It's in the 3rd paragraph down, and it starts, regardless of whether they want to do business immediately or in the future, the process of conversion is the same. The only difference is time frame. Converting a lead begins with capturing it, moves to connecting, here's the key part, engaging in meaningful contact where you get information, gain understanding, and build a relationship. So that's what I'm talking about now, building that relationship, and ends with closing. Building that relationship. And if you've had the opportunity to be on James Shaw's Call in the Morning at 8 o'clock, he talks about care, compassion, and common sense. I will say this, and I don't know if the person's on here or not. One of our own has a call, Lauren, in the morning, and somebody used this exact thing to get a listing, and she talked about it. I think her name was Sandy this morning. Talked about how she was talking to some people, and because they felt her warmth, they listed with her. And she was like, I was so surprised because I figured they'd list with a much bigger agent. What we're doing now, ladies and gentlemen, by gaining that mind share, we're showing people that we care about them, because when you call them and ask them, how are you? How's your family? How's your work situation? What are they going to then ask you?
How's real estate? How are you doing?
Exactly, Michael. They're going to come back and ask you how you're doing, which opens up the opportunity to talk about how real estate is. So from coming from contribution, and here's what's really great about this. You're going to let them see how much you care about them, how important they are to you by asking them those questions. And what is everybody's favorite topic? Everybody has the same favorite topic. Me, exactly. So what are you showing them? That you are concerned about them. They get to talk about their favorite topic, which means they get to see that not only do you care about them, it's also that you trust them. And most people, when they're doing real estate transaction, it's the largest financial transaction in their life. So even though big agents, that's important, what people really want to know is, do you care about me? Can I trust you? And are you going to look out for my best interests? And right now, ladies and gentlemen, you have the opportunity to do that by your care calls. Everybody can do it. Now, I know some people saying, well, how do I transition from the care calls to real estate? You know what? Gary is all over it. In the shift book, he talks about that too on page 97. Down toward the bottom, he gives an incredibly great transition. This question is so smooth. It just flows right into whatever you want. And here's the question. You talk about how they're doing. They ask you how you're doing. They haven't quite led you to real estate. You could then ask them something like this. Well, would you be offended if I ask you, do you have any real estate needs right now? That's on page 97 at the bottom. Would you be offended if I asked you about real estate right now? Incredible transition. Now we're going to talk about bold, and I'm going to pass it to Jaime here in a minute. I just want to say this before I do that. Let's go talk about some things out of the one thing. Right now, this situation, you can do it as an opportunity or an obstacle. Now, if you're viewing it as an opportunity, you've got to realize there are some things you can't control, and there are some things you can control. What you can control is how you react to the situation. You can control how many calls you make. You can control what you say. You can control how dedicated, how you time block. Those are all the things you can control. And those things will overcome and overtake the things you cannot control. Because right now in real estate, we have a unique time where the buyers and sellers are actually working together to make the deals go through. And they're doing this because of FOMO. They don't know what's going to happen next. They don't know if our stuff's going to be open up or if it's going to get more restrictive. So buyers are looking at substantially less houses. They're not asking for nearly as much stuff, in the inspections. And sellers aren't nickel and diamond buyers because as soon as they get something close, they want to hurry up and make sure we get this thing done. Buyers and sellers working together. There has never been a time like this in history. They're home, they'll take your call, your script is super easy, and all the buyers and sellers want to work together to get the deals done as quickly as possible. So we've got to get in massive action right now. And we're going to talk about how you can do that through Bold Pivot. So, Jaime, I'm going to pass the review and then we'll come back together with Bold Pivot. What you got for us, man?
Got it, man. Awesome. Y'all, Dennis, great job, man. Great job. And now, what we need to do, and we've all been covering different topics on every Zoom meeting that we've been doing. And I love this book right here. I love the one thing. I teach and coach out of it all the time. And right now, what my intention for us, for me, for this session is for everybody to get into massive action. And massive action starts with little action. And I don't know about you all, we've kind of been distracted over the last 45, 60 days. I don't know, anybody else felt the distraction? And I remember, Bridget, when you said you all just graduated Bold, whenever I graduated my Bold class, right before all this stuff started, it was funny. I went to I was at the airport and I started seeing an airport delay. And Dennis, you know how this feels. It's like right when we see the delays, we see the writing on the wall, we go straight to the ticket counter and we see how we can get rebooked on another flight. And when I did that, I knew something was up because I mentioned my last name, which is Corona. And she said, hold on, I need to get some gloves before I talk to you. And I was like, okay. So, and then 2 days later, that's when everything happened. So listen, I want to start off just by starting off with 2 questions that my coach asked me about 4 weeks ago. And it's just every morning I start with these 2 questions. And I ask myself these 2 questions. Go ahead and jot these down. The first question is this: how will I be remembered after this? How will my database remember me after this? And then the second question is, what will my business look like after this? And every morning I answer those questions over and over and over. If you look back at my notepad, you'll see those 2 questions, and I have answers, because this is what he told me. The way I answer those questions today is how those answers are going to show up. Those answers are going to show up 90 days from now. And even though we're distracted even though we have a massive distraction right now, we have to fix our mindset and create the wins starting right now. So write down page 169 in the book, The One Thing. Just jot down page 169, The One Thing. I'm going to go back, and it's something for you to go back and reference. And one of the things that I've been going over is, how are we going to create these small wins for ourselves every single day? How are we going to create that sense of accomplishment every day? And you know what it goes down to? It comes back to our planner. And what I've been asking everybody to do is go and grab a month at a glance calendar. This is one where you can see the whole month right there in front of you. And this is straight from Gary. We actually teach this in Bold 2.0, Step 6. Straight from Gary. And he says when he looks at his month at a glance calendar, he writes down one thing in that box that is a non-negotiable that he has to do no matter what. And I don't know about you all. You all just said you're spending a lot more time at home, spending a lot more time with your family. And I just got to ask you this. Has there ever been a time, and we're all independent contractors, by the way, I'm going to be the first one to raise my hand. Has there ever been a time when you went to work and maybe you were on your way home from work and you got home from work and you had it in the back of your mind knowing that maybe you didn't really do what you needed to do that day? Am I the only one that's ever been in that spot before? Yeah, we've all been in that spot. That's the downfalls of a independent contractor, right? And you know, how does that feel? How do you feel when you have that in the back of your mind? Not good, right? Not good. Yeah, I'll take that hand sign. Yeah, not good. And you know what? And listen, I have 2 kids downstairs. I got my wife downstairs, and I know what it feels like whenever I go home feeling like that, and I know who takes the brunt of that. And they're downstairs because it's behind here. Now, what we need to do right now is create the wins, have the sense of accomplishment. That way, when we spend the time with the people that matter the most to us, we're 100% present. And how we do that is that we put in one activity in this month at a glance calendar. And at the end of your workday, whether it be 2 hours, 3 hours, however long you have, at the end of the day, you go and you're able to cross it out. You cross it out. And this is straight from Gary. Gary says that whenever you cross this out, something triggers in your brain and he gives you that sense of accomplishment. And I don't know about you all. Right now, during this time, we can take all the wins that we could possibly get. And that's why I've been teaching on this. And this right here, out of, I don't know, Dennis, we've done like, 30 Zooms over the last week and a half. And this right here is the one thing that gives people the biggest ahas. And you know what? Gary said this on his live stream on Friday, talking about your goals. Our goals have been rocked this year. And he actually said, take your 2020 goals, put them on a shelf for a bit. What we need to do right now is set a May goal. We need to set a goal for the month of May. Now, you all have always been essential. Is that right? You all have been able to go and practice real estate. Is that right? Yeah. It's not, you know, I did a Zoom call in Pennsylvania. They haven't been able to do anything since March 18th, right? Now, so what we're going to do is that we're going to set a goal for May. We're going to set a monthly goal. And this comes back to that tool we called the 411, where you're going to set a monthly goal and then you have your 4 weeks and then you put your activities on there. And it all just comes down to chunking it down. Now, based on everything that I've talked about so far, is this anything new? Is this anything that we haven't heard before? No. And the reason that I bring it back is because if it was hard for us to follow these things before, it's really hard right now because of the distraction that we have. Right now, all we have, the news has always been there. Squirrels have always been there. Right now, it's just a bigger squirrel. And there's a quote on the top of page 161 from the one thing that I always talk about. And it says this: if disproportionate results come from one activity, then you must give that one activity disproportionate time. And right now, I used to have the disproportionate activity of two different activities. One is lead generation, and then the second one is if you spend an hour lead generating and then an hour going out and putting out a sign in the lockbox, which one is going to get you more lucrative results? So lead generation. That's why we say leverage that other stuff out. Now, you know what? Lately, you know what I've been using? It's like, let's say you're walking through your living room. Let's say you need to go get a pen or a book or something. You're walking through the living room. All of a sudden, you look up on your TV and it says breaking news. I don't know. You could spend 2 hours in front of that breaking news alert. And right now, it's just time to go and get refocused back on the things that we need to do every single day. So the stuff that I'm talking about, it's nothing new. It's just right now, we got to bring our attention back to those tools, back to those things that are going to get us the most successful. Is everybody with me here? So, and that's exactly, and this leads into Bold Pivot. By the way, Bridget, I don't know how much time we had on here. And Dennis, we can go into Bold Pivot because all these things that we are talking about right now are all going to be rolled into Bold Pivot for the month of May. And right now, we all need a plan for the month of May. So, Dennis,
Yep.
well, actually, before we go, can we get some ahas? Can we get some ahas of what you've heard so far from Dennis and myself? What are some of the things that stood out to you?
I'd have to say it's going back to the 411. It's having goals written down and be able to scratch through them and having that trigger in your brain, which of course is going to lead to more production. And I have kind of failed myself here lately on doing that. So I do need to revisit that. Absolutely.
Thank you, Michael, for that. Absolutely. Yeah. And by the way, I'd say a large percentage of agents, it doesn't matter what level you're at, struggle with the 411s, with the daily time blockings. I mean, we're human beings. That's what happens. So one more aha before Dennis gets into Bold Pivot.
It's the easiest time in the world to talk to your people. They're home. You don't have to chase them down.
That is absolutely right. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. All right, Dennis, take it away.
All right, Jaime, perfect. Thank you. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right, so let's make it nice and big here if we can. So we're talking about Bold Pivot. And what this is all about is making sure that you have a vehicle so that you can get back on track. You can follow the 411. You can get on track and make sure you take massive action during this period. Because I love those two questions that Jaime said at the very beginning of when he started talking. What will my database look like when this is over? And what will my business look like when this is over? And what we're doing with Bold Pivot is we're providing you a vehicle so that it can look how you want it to look. The 4 key areas that we're going to be focusing on that Gary has been talking about is number 1, mindset. Everything begins and ends with mindset. You've got to be thinking in the right place. And the next thing, what scripts are we going to give you? And this is the thing. What we're doing right now is we are interviewing and studying and talking to the top agents in Keller Williams to get the scripts they're using. We just gave you the super easy one. We're going to give you some more. Then talk about how can you continue to cut expenses. You've been hearing about this now for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, so probably you've already done it. However, can you cut more? And then talking about doubling down on lead generation. Jaime talked about that, perfectly, about lead generating and the importance of lead generating. Next, in terms of, well, what is it? We're going to be talking about social media, talking about, how to use command in your database to make sure that you're taking advantage of this time right now so that when the time ends, when the lights go on, because they will go back on, you're in position for your business to look like you want it to look. So when is it? It's Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 to 3 Central Time, which is 2 to 4 Eastern Time. Everything is going to be live streamed. It's also going to be recorded. So if there's somebody who says, well, I don't know if I'll be able to make every session, or maybe that's time when I'm going to be homeschooling my kids, great. It's going to be recorded so you can watch it at your leisure when you can get the most out of it. And then on Wednesdays and Fridays, we're having the Coach's Corner. We're able to speak with a MAPS Bold coach about the business, deep dive on the things that you just learned. You know, talk about scripts, talk about anything you need to talk about that you learned on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And as soon as you join up, sign up for the Bold Pivot Facebook page. That should happen as soon as you sign up. You get a little note, go right there. Here's why. You're saying, well, why should I sign up now? Because there's information right now that you can use to help you build your business. There is, we had Seth Daly, I think, on this call. Was it last week? His wife did an interview on there where she talks about how they're taking, you know, they used to do client events, how they're doing client events digitally.
So
it's powerful, powerful stuff. So that's on there. And there's many other tips and techniques on there as well. And anybody can sign up. Get to make more money, sharpen your presentation skills, you know, set up a home office, take market share. Now is the time you're going to take market share. And want to make sure you don't miss out on this opportunity, because right now we're talking about service first and sales second. We're talking about surviving now, which will propel us to thriving when the lights go back on. And continue to be strong in our personal priorities. That's Gary Keller's mission, like Jaime was saying, for pretty much the month of May, and while we're in this is what our focus is. And to sign up, it's only $99. It begins May 5th, ends May 28th. And remember this, real estate is a lead and lag industry. So the stuff we're seeing now, that's business that was really generated 30, 60, 90 days ago. In June, July, and August, 30, 60, 90 days from now, you're either going to get a bunch of bills, or if you play this right, you can get a bunch of checks. And it's completely up to you. Because what you don't want to have happen, I'm trying to say, what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to be looking at this as a shoulda, woulda, coulda, and you want to make sure you took advantage of this and just did it. Jaime, what you got?
Yeah, well, you know, I wanted to add, I mean, we had a pretty historic moment today. We passed, actually over 20,000 people have already signed up for Bold Pivot, and which is by far going to be the largest real estate class that has ever happened. And for the first time in Bold history, stuff is actually going to be recorded. I don't know if you all remember every step 2 where it says no recording or filming in Bold. And whenever they released, I don't know, Dennis, I don't know about you, whenever they said it was going to be recorded, we were like, what? Right? And the reason, and you know, the reason we share this is that, you know, we don't know what, I mean, how many of you know what reopening is going to look like? How do you, I mean, how is it going to affect your business? How's it going to affect this? We don't know. And that's why we're getting all the input from all over the country right now. And on top of that, we got to do something. We got to have a plan in place. And I've been asking all the agents, if you're not going to take Bold Pivot in May, what are you going to take? What is your plan? Because you got to have something in place there. And Dennis, you mentioned that Bold Facebook page. Y'all, what Bold is a coaching and conditioning program. Yes, Bold is an environment. And you know what we're doing, and everybody can attest to this, is that our Bold environment will always bring an uplifting, positive environment. And what we're doing is that we're creating that environment for now over 20,000 people. That way we can lift each other up during this time and go out there and be as successful as we possibly can. And imagine right now that you're driving down the road and you see a blind curve up front. You see a blind curve going and you don't know what's around the corner. Now, naturally, what do we do when we see a blind curve? We're coming up on the curve. We don't know what's around the corner. Naturally, what do?
Slow down.
We slow down. And then we slow down, and then we slow down. And if you keep slowing down, eventually what's going to happen is that you're going to stop. And right now we got to have that catalyst. We got to have that mindset to keep going every day. Keep going every day. What is that one thing that's going to keep us moving forward? And right now, Bold Pivot is that answer. And Bridget, you know, Dennis had no idea I was going to do this. And I just want to, we have I think we have a handful of agents in the market center that are currently registered. And I just want to throw something out here because I'm willing to put something up for this, and or we're willing to put something up that I'd like to see 20 of the agents in your market center signed up for Bold Pivot. And 1 second, there you go. My phone started going. And I'd like to see 20 of your agents signed up for Bold Pivot. And here's what I want to do. So Bridget, and this is in was it market center 798. Is that 798 your market center?
785.
785.
And 1041.
And 1041. Okay. And is it 785 the one that's on the call?
It's a mixture of both. Mostly 785 though, and looking at who's on.
Gotcha. Well, there was and I looked at the numbers before I go because I'm a numbers person. So here's what I want to do. When we can get let's say 25 of your agents signed up with Bold Pivot, here's what I'm going to authorize you to do is put those 25 names in a hat and then draw one out, and I'm going to Venmo them $99. They're going to get their $99 back immediately from me. So that's one out of the 25. And by the way, I know y'all been through Bold before, and you've seen us Bold coaches raffle off half scholarships. So, y'all, this is coming straight from my wallet. So I just do this because it's our opportunity to serve and take a stand for our agents. So what's our key number?
25.
25, and we can do that by the end of the business day.
We got 2 of those. You got 2 of those, Bridget.
There you go. Look at it. You see how the compound effect goes? So awesome. So other than that, does anybody have any questions for us?
I do. I have a couple questions with respect to because I have been asked by some of our agents as to seeing the way the sessions are going to be laid out, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 our time, and then Wednesdays and Fridays where you could have a call with a coach. Now, is that something that you need to schedule, that you would actually schedule that? Is there a calendar that you would, I guess, set a time and then a coach will call you back? Like, what is that? What will that look like? Do you even know?
Yeah, the coaches' corner is the same times. That's 2 to 4, and there'll be a few coaches on those calls. So it's that same time. What you got?
It's going to be live streamed as well, Bridget, and you're going to have
a group call. It's not a one-on-one call.
That's right. Now, another thing is that from 8 to 8, that Bold Facebook page, that Bold Pivot Facebook page, is monitored. It's being monitored by Bold coaches. So if you hop on there and you ask a question, somebody's going to be on there. That way they can provide you an answer. Like, for example, I mean, I was on there from 6 to 8 Central this morning, and people were already on there asking questions. So like I said, we're all monitoring that page, and we're there just to best support. Because one of the things is that if you're thinking it and you have a question on something, chances are 1,000 other agents have a question on that as well.
And as far as, obviously, we've all gotten pretty well versed in doing Zoom calls, and some have gone so far as to do Zoom calls that we've then live streamed, and kind of dueling between the two as far as being on a Zoom call and being interactive and being able to have voice conversation with somebody and being able to also chat, yet you can also have it on live stream and not necessarily be voice activated with somebody else. It's more of a presentation. It's more of an out than it is, interactive, yet you can kind of do some chat. What's the format going to be for this? Because I understand there's thousands of agents already sort of subscribed. So it's, is it going to be kind of in writing and asking questions that way?
Good question, Bridget. The Bold Pivot on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's going to be more live stream. The Coach's Corner, we're working on that right now, how we can make that much more interactive if we need be. Okay.
Okay.
And the chat box is going to be on. So even if you're not on, with your mic on or anything like that, you're going to be able to put questions on there, and we're going to be notifying the coaches as the questions come on.
Yeah, because there'll be a bunch of other coaches on there, even though, like Jaime's saying, even though we're not talking, there'll be a bunch of other coaches on there monitoring that. So thank you. Great point.
And now do you envision that throughout the sessions that dependent on the day, dependent on the topic, that as you said earlier, that there's interviews being held right now, interviewing and getting data back from some of the top KW agents around the country. Are they going to be interviewed like during that 2 to 4 period of time? Well, like, will we actually be able to hear from some of these top agents or just excerpts from them?
That's a great question. That's being worked on right now. So we will know that pretty much when Bold Pivot starts.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess I asked that question because I think about when we just had Bold, one of the advantages I would say we had in our Bold this last time around was we had such a great mix of agents in Bold. We had some newer agents and we had some very seasoned agents in the room, that they each have a different perspective from where they've, what they've experienced, what career they came from before real estate or what they've experienced just in real estate. And yet you only hear from those in the room. And in thinking about this opportunity, and I know just on some of the leadership and regional calls that I've been on, the people that are signed up that are planning on taking Bold, it's a lot of leadership throughout the country and a lot of top KW agents that are taking it. And if there's that opportunity to participate and hear from them directly, when you wouldn't maybe otherwise, I'm hoping that gets integrated and incorporated, because that just only adds even just that extra level of value as well to me, I would say.
And and it doesn't even have to just be, and this is me just thinking out loud here. So, and I was like, on that Bold Pivot Facebook page, I mean, there's nothing that says, Dennis, you and I can't call Lance Loken or somebody to say, hey, you want to do a little 20-minute interview on the Bold Pivot Facebook page, and let's just go Facebook Live. I mean, stuff like that. Lance is a good buddy of mine. So I guess if I call him, maybe he'll say yes. Now, like Lance, I take his team out door knocking. I'm a door knocker. So his team would call me and say, hey, can you take me out door knocking? And if Lance calls and asks for a favor, nobody ever says no. And then in exchange, I would go look at his ISA department, stuff like that. So, so with that being said, Bridget, that's a great suggestion. I mean, who's to say we can't have an interview, with somebody, sometime during the day? So great value.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess with that, I think I shared it with Dennis, and some of the folks know, not maybe everybody knows. And I'll share my screen for the moment with our folks, to at least just let them know what we are doing. What we are doing here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing my screens here. We are doing a effort to help our agents, for those that would like to participate in Bold. And basically what we have put forth, Matt and I talked about it, and what we would like to do, and it's been on our closed Facebook group. So if you've not been to our closed Facebook group, go check out the closed Facebook group. I'm going to show you the image. I'm going to show you the image now. Unfortunately, the last 2 days have been tough on Zoom in terms of a lot of people on. And I know I got kicked out yesterday a couple of times out of Zoom. But it's really slow for me right now. I don't know why it's so slow. Sorry, you don't want to see my son's lacrosse team. Sorry. It's so slow. All right, I'm having challenges. It's just so slow. So let me just share with you what we're doing. For anyone that wants to sign up for Bold, you can sign up. You can go right to the website And I don't know if you can see, I'll share my screen for purposes of being able to sign up for Bold. Bold Pivot, and you register. As you see, the price is $99, 4 weeks, 2 hours, 2 days a week, starts May the 5th. And to help all of our agents, to help them in this time and help propel their business forward, what we are doing is, if you sign up for Bold, we've reduced, as you know, we reduced our desk rents in our offices, and we reduced our monthly office bills for our agents. And what we will do is we will essentially credit you back 2 months worth of your office bill. So right now our office bill has been reduced to $55 a month. So you will essentially get a credit of $55 a month for 2 months if you sign up for Bold. So just wanted to let you know that, and not a bad thing. And therefore, we're just thinking about you and thinking about how, ways that we can help, and thought that was at least a way to help those that, especially for those that maybe just finished taking Bold and thinking, oh, should I ante up again? And I don't want anyone to miss out on the opportunity. And so I think it's about that, and therefore I wanted to share that. So please make sure you go check out the Facebook page to be able to see, kind of what we have there. And if you've got questions and you want to talk further about it, you can certainly reach out to myself. You can reach out to Scarlett, Becky, Bonnie, Charlene, any one of us. If you've got any questions, you can certainly reach out to any one of us, and we'll help you any way we can.
Cool. And Bridget, I put the link on the chat box.
Oh, good. Thank you.
To register.
Thank you.
You guys that are on this call, I mean, your market center, your leadership, I mean, they're really willing to take a stand for you guys. I mean, that's an amazing opportunity. I mean, it's $99, and they're still willing to do stuff to make sure that you guys get the benefit of this course. So that's powerful, Bridget. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, guys. That's good stuff.
No worries. Any questions anyone have?
I have a question. So my screen froze up several times, and you may have answered this. Will Jaime, Dennis, will you guys be the coach? Is it going to rotate, or will it be the same coach, every Tuesday and Thursday?
Jaime, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I got it. And Michael, that's a great question. So there's going to be a rotation of coaches. There's going to be a rotation of coaches. You're going to see new coaches every single session. What's cool about it, like for example, you all are on the East Coast. Getting Cody Gibson to the East Coast is like pulling teeth, because it's so hard for him to get there from Portland. Like for example, you're going to be able to see coaches that aren't usually able to make it over there to the East Coast. So you're going to see a wide range of coaches. There's going to be different coaches on the live streams, and then there's also going to be different coaches on the Coaches Corner as well. So.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions, thoughts? No? No,
Bridget, real quick. This is Steven. I jumped on late. I apologize. I had a quick question in comparison, because I went to the first one. Is Bold Pivot going to be the same exact in terms of the format, in terms of the materials, the intensity and everything? Is it just, it's all going online now, or is this like just kind of a hybrid of the Bold class? If that makes any sense.
Steven?
Yeah, because Dennis looks like I didn't know. Dennis, saw you and I didn't know if you were looking at me like, what does that question mean?
No, I was looking down to make sure I got your name right. All right. Hey, Steven, that's a great question. The great thing about Bold Pivot is it's going to have the feel of Bold. It's going to have the guts of Bold. It is going to be a little bit different because this is a serious market of the moment. That's why it's Bold Pivot versus regular traditional Bold.
Okay.
Yeah, and this digital Bold is completely temporary. We have every intention of hopping on planes and getting out to the different cities once this all clears up.
Awesome. Great. Dennis and Jaime, would you mind doing me a favor? Will you just put your maybe contact info in the chat box. So if anyone on the call has maybe a question and they want to just reach out and ask you a question, would you mind just typing that in there? That would be great. And so if anyone came on late or you've got a specific question and you want to ask them, feel free to reach out to them. Jaime, where are you based?
I'm in Houston.
You're in Houston. Okay. All right. And Dennis, you're in Cambridge, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah. Okay. Maryland, that is.
Maryland.
Not Massachusetts. So, okay. Awesome. Super. Well, thank you both very much for your time and yeah, putting
Awesome.
putting this together. I'm anxious. I signed up this morning. So
All right. Good job.
Awesome.
Did you get a chance to get on the Facebook page yet?
Oh, you know what? I got the email back and I have not been onto the Facebook page. So I will do that. I will go check that out. So thank you. I will check that out.
Hey, thank you guys so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.